So in verse 1 of Genesis 26, we find a situation there. And it's an economic situation. The Bible said, and there was a famine in the land. There was a famine. Genesis 26 verse 1. There was a famine. And that famine is not in people's life. Are you with me? That famine is in the land. There is a poverty that is given to territory. And when you find yourself in that kind of geographical location, you realize that you become a victim of the implication of what that land carries. And the first thing I'd like you to understand this morning is that God at any point doesn't give prosperity to people. It is in the culture of God to give blessing and prosperity to territories. So if we travel back to the book of Genesis, you realize that when God was done forming the earth, and after he had prepared the garden, you realize everything he has done, you can say these are blessings. You will find gold not in Adam, but the gold is in the garden. You are going to find riches not in Adam, but the riches is in Adam, in the garden. You are going to find apples and all kinds of fruit not in Adam, but in the garden. You are going to find water not in Adam, but in the garden. So, according to how God prosper men, God does not give men money. He does not give men prosperity or blessing. What God does is that he gives territory blessing. And that was why after Adam sinned and his wife, and God was intending to curse them, God does not curse them. God cursed the land because of them. Are we still together now? God did what? He cursed the land because of them. Why can't God just place the curse upon them? It was because what God intends to do with curse and blessing is transgenerational. And if God placed the blessing or the curse upon individual, when the individual come to the end of their sojourn upon the face of the earth, they are going to die with either the blessing or the curse. Are we together now? So what God does is that God placed the blessing or the curse upon the face of the earth, so that even when you are done with your travail upon the earth, generation comes again and they are still entering into the same covenant that God had made with Abraham. So in the prosperity plan of God for Abraham, what God did to Abraham is not just to make Abraham prosperous, but to give Abraham a land. Are we on the same page now? Is to give Abraham a land. And that was why even when Abraham was done with his own sojourn, then his child, Isaac, still have to continue with that prosperity plan. So all of that attempt is to show you that when you are trying to maximize your season of bountiful harvest, you must understand that God does not bless people, but God bless territory. And your business breakthrough is attached to that understanding. Your ministry breakthrough is attached to that understanding. In fact, there are people that got wedded and they could not give birth to because of the place they dwell. The apartment they rented was the source of their problem. There are people that are right now going through all kinds of affliction, oppression because of the kind of apartment house they have chosen to dwell. So I'm saying that each of us is going to have a share in either the blessing or the curse of where you choose to dwell. So in Genesis 26, the Bible records that there was a famine not in the people, but that famine is given to the land. And that's why at any point that the devil is trying to launch an attack, what it does is to release plague upon the face of the earth. Are we together now? When God was trying to deal with the Egyptians, God did not just come and start flogging them one by one. What God did was just to place a plague upon the land. So their cattle could not feed and themselves could not feed. And he has to tamper their water. Are we together now? So I'm saying that when you look at when God decided to bless Abraham as well, him and Lot had to separate, and it was an issue of territory. Their prosperity, their safety, their peace of mind is as a result of where they choose to dwell. So the first instruction that God is giving us is that, and that may begin to shape your retreat now. 2024, give me direction. Should I stay in the land? Should I move? There was a famine in the land. And the famine was not in anybody, but it's in the land. And so far you are in that land, you can pray and nothing will change. And that's why sometimes until you now begin to change your accommodation, move away from that place, that's how you now begin to see difference. You will continue to have that nightmare. So far you are in that house. Because it is the foundational problem. And if the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do? Not even 1,000 prayer will save you. Blessing or curse is given to the land. And that was why Abraham needed to journey onto the Canaan land. And when God was planning to bless the children of Israel, he had to call them out of a particular land and also move them to another land. What was it all about? About land. After all, we have left Egypt. Can't we just settle down where we are right now? What is it? Why did God attach your future to the land? Are you with me now? Your marriage. There are people that if they are not in a particular location, I guarantee you, they can never meet their destiny helper. It's not possible. Some of you will never get to get your husband or get your wife. That's the truth. And some of us will never get to meet our business partners, investors, helpers. Just because you are in a land, a space, because you find yourself there, you become a partaker of the blessing that space carry. Just imagine right now that you are not where you are right now. Imagine the beautiful relationships you have with people. Imagine this, your success. Imagine the things that happens to you in the past 3-6 months. Imagine what your life could have been. So we now realize that where you are is very important. And that's why the Bible said that the race is not to the swift, neither the battle to the strong. Another time said, it is by being at the right place at the right time. By being at the right place at the right time. Are we together now? So there was a famine in the land. It's an economic situation. Are we together? It's an economic situation. Can somebody get it? Keep on reading for me.